After 8 o'clock. Good morning, welcome, salamu alaikum to one and all. This is News and Views on Salam Media. And our first guest for the morning is a political analyst, Professor Sam Comma. He's here to talk to us about the parties that have joined the GNU. Some of them, of course, were saying before the elections or just shortly after the elections that they're not interested in coalitions. Well, the GNU is a coalition of sorts, is it not? Just another name for a coalition. One of those that were very adamant that they were not going to become going to a coalition with the ANC was, of course, Al Jama-ah. We've just heard now that Al Jama-ah is the latest party that has decided to join forces and become a part of the GNU. And there's a whole host of others, Rais Mzansi, who were quite resolute as well that they're not joining. So let's understand, why is it that there's been such an about turn regarding joining the GNU? And we've also just heard that they are going to be postponing the announcement of the cabinet because the MK party are now as well joining up. Is that in fact true? And we're also hearing that 58 members of parliament from the MK party will also be part of this government of unity. Let's understand if that is in fact true, and what is the story regarding the other smaller parties now joining forces with the ANC. A very good morning to you, Professor Sam Comma. Wonderful talking with you once again. And yep, the fun and games have started, have they not?
Yes, morning, Julie. Thanks for the opportunity. Yes, that is the reason we normally say politics is the art of possible and compromise. You're quite right. Prior to the 2024 national elections, a number of parties did on record indicate that they will not work with the ANC in any manner. But now we know that since the outcome of the elections announced or pronounced by the Electoral Commission, there's been much discussions and also developments in respect to the formation of a government. In this instance, we know that the ANC did not obtain an outright majority, but not only the ANC, these other parties that also contested the national elections could not secure the 50+1. So that necessitates then the need for a discussion and also a resolution with regard to the formation of a majority government. That happened last week, Friday, we know, with the election of the Speaker of the National Assembly, plus the Deputy Speaker of the National Assembly, the Speaker drawn from the ANC, the Deputy Speaker drawn from the DA. At that moment, we could see that there's now a coalition agreement, a cooperation agreement between the ANC and also the DA, plus the IFP, because the president of the IFP, Mr. Tlhabisa, is the one who nominated the election of the candidacy of Mr. Ramaphosa, who, of course, was duly elected as the president of the republic. Then subsequent to that, processes began to unfold. Till this day, we know that the president is seized with this matter of having to constitute his national executive, referred to as cabinet. And we know that over the weekend, the ANC released a communique indicating that so far there are 10 political parties represented in the National Assembly that have since signed up to be part of the Government of National Unity, which is a coalition government, to simplify that. And also, we know that lately, Al Jama-ah, Rais Mzansi also followed to be part of these 10 political parties that have signed the statement of intent and also to be part of the Government of National Unity. So it has to be mentioned that if you look at Al Jama-ah, since 2019, uh, Al Jama has had a good working relationship with the ANC. That started in the city of Joburg with the coalition arrangement that is obtaining in that metro. We know that the mayor of that metro is drawn from Al Jama, that is Mr. Gwamanda. But also before Mr. Gwamanda, you had Mr. Tapelo, who was also a part of that metro in the running of the metro at the leadership level. And also, if you look at the record of Al Jama in the National Assembly since 2019, of course, to 2024, they've been supporting motions and also bills that are initiated by the ANC. So that tells us that there is some kind of good relationship between the two parties. But you're quite right. Al Jama last week, Friday, in the morning, they were part of what we call the Progressive Caucus. And also since that occasion, that is last week, Friday, in the National Assembly, the UDM, that was part of the Progressive Caucus, plus Al Jama are the two parties that have now clearly indicated their intention to be part of the Government of National Unity through signing up the statement of intent. But also it indicates that these 10 parties are now indicating their willingness to be part of what we call a national dialogue, which will shape the future of South Africa. And these 10 parties at the moment will be part of that event.
Okay, so there are two or three very important issues we need to raise regarding this issue. So we're looking at 10 parties that forms the GNU. That's obviously the ANC, DA, PA, IFP, the Good Party, PAC, Freedom Front Plus, UDM, Rise Mzansi, and Al Jama, which then leaves, for example, Julius Malema's party, the EFF, outside of this coalition or GNU. They then are going to be possibly a very strong opposition. Do you think that they will go into some sort of a coalition with other smaller parties to become the opposition to the GNU? Question number one. And also, I made a comment earlier on about the MK party and 58 members of the MK that are now going to be joining the GNU. Is there any truth in that story that's doing the rounds?
Yes, so Ali, you are quite right. You remember last week, Friday, when the National Assembly convened, there was a grouping of political parties represented in the National Assembly that pronounced themselves as constituting the Progressive Caucus. Now, since then, till this day, we now have 10 political parties represented in the National Assembly that have signed up the statement of intent to be part of the Government of National Unity. So it means we are left with 8, because all in all, we have 18 political parties duly represented in the National Assembly, arising from the outcome of the 2024 national election. So we have 10 versus 8. EFF is part of the 8, and also the MK party, because there's no official position coming from the MK party, that they've signed up to be part of the statement of intent to constitute the Government of National Unity. So it means that there are now two groupings. You have these 10 political parties, part of the GNU. You have the 8, which at the moment will operate outside the GNU, effectively becoming an opposition to this GNU. But that also doesn't mean that parties that are now part of the Government of National Unity, they will not proceed to assume their opposition role to the governing. Nope, it doesn't mean that. Because the only
Okay.
thing they've agreed on in the statement of intent is that we are committed to the building of a non-racial, non-sexist, and prosperous society. we are committed to ensure that there is inclusive government. We are committed to a progressive foreign policy. They've agreed on those generic principles and values that are contained in the cooperation agreement that constitute the formation of the government of national unity. So we'll still have for example, UDM, the PAC, the IFP playing that particular role in terms of opposing certain pieces of legislation or certain motions that they are not agreeing to. But collectively, these 10 parties now occupy 70% of the representation in the National Assembly. So if collectively agree on a matter, that matter will go through, despite opposition raised by, say, the MK Party or the EFF or UAT or BOSA.
The eight others. The 8 others. Let's go for an ad break, and when we come back, let's look at the makeup of the 8 parties outside of the GNU. Are there any chances of them perhaps forming a coalition so that they come across as a much stronger opposition? And we need opposition. We need to keep the government in control on their toes. And if not, how is the EFF and the MK, obviously being independent parties, how they're going to be moving forward? So let's look at that issue right after the ad break. And the 58 supposed MK party members that are supposed to be making a part of the cabinet, how does that look? So please do respond to those right after the ad break.
This is Salam Media.
Are you planning a wedding, birthday party, corporate event, or any special occasion? Kani's Catering Services got you covered. Our catering services are here to elevate your event to unforgettable heights. From tantalizing appetizers to mouth-watering main courses and desserts, our culinary creations are crafted with passion and precision to delight your guests' taste buds. Our spit braai is a talk of the town. Indulge in succulent, tender meats, slow roasted to perfection over an open flame. Kani's Catering Services chefs bring creativity and expertise to every dish they prepare, ensuring that each bite is a culinary masterpiece. We take care of your guests while you relax and enjoy every moment of your function. Whether it's plated meals to a simple buffet, we are on top of it all. Ready to start planning your perfect event? Get in touch with us today to discuss your catering needs and request a personalized quote. Let us take your event to the next level with our exceptional catering services. Kani's Catering Services, situated at number 373 Jabundlovo Street, Pietermaritzburg. Call now 033 342 3511 or email us on info@kanis.co.za for Pietermaritzburg and surrounding areas only. Visit www.kanis.co.za.
You know, it's a wonder how kids get anything done these days. With all the distractions, when do they even get time to study? As a mother, all I can really do is make sure they have all they need to perform at their best. That's why I choose to include Sunfoil Triple.
The Africa of your dreams, and surround yourself with her spectacular spectacular beauty. Relax beneath his serene sunsets and explore wildlife at its natural best. It's where the pride of Africa comes together. The Kwantu Private Game Reserve. Get to know the Big Five or cruise on an elephant safari game drive. Interact with lion and tiger cubs and enjoy world-class halal cuisine while we pamper you during your 5-star stay. Indulge in the true African experience. For reservations, call now on 042 203 1400 or visit kwantu.co.za. The Kwantu Private Game Reserve, the place of gathering.
Breaking stereotypes, moving boundaries, joining hands. Salam Media.
لا تقل لي وحدي أو كيف السبيل.
Humanity sets the agenda.
Welcome back. It's exactly 8:27 News and Views moving along. My name is Julie Ali. Thank you for your company. We do hope you're going to stay with us for the balance of the show. We wrap up at 10 o'clock. This is our first interview of the morning, and that, of course, is with Professor Sam Khoma. We are talking about the makeup of the GNU. There are now 10 parties in total, the latest being Jama-ah, and let's look at what the opposition is going to look like. Is there even a possibility, and I'm thinking that it could be a force to be reckoned with, Professor Khoma, is there even a remote possibility that perhaps the EFF will join forces with the MK and become a fiercely strong opposition to the GNU?
Definitely, Julie. So the MK party, we know that the 58 members of that party will be sworn in as members of parliament tomorrow. And that's, of course, officially assuming their legislative role. Plus the EFF, you also have Build One South Africa that is led by Mr. Musi Maimane, a seasoned politician. We know that also previously he served in parliament. He was also one of those who took up the matter of Bosasa that implicated the president, Ramaphosa. He will still play that role. You also have ATM represented by Mr. Zungula. We know that he's also pursuing the matter of Phala. And also we know that last week at the first sitting of the National Assembly, the EFF, through Mr. Floyd Shivambu, already put the matter of Phala before this 7th Parliament. And he said this Parliament will now have to consider this motion through, of course, the different processes in Parliament that will have to follow. So we'll see how that process unfolds. That
Can I ask you this one question before we move on? Floyd Shivambu is raising the issue of Phala, but what about him and his brother's implication on the VBS scandal? Does he have room to be raising that issue?
Yeah. Yes, we know that the VBS matter till today is still a legal matter. The criminal justice institutions are still assist with that particular matter. We'll see how that one pans out. Of course, it's a matter outside the domain of Parliament. But as a parliamentarian, this is the role that will be playing, asking tough, embarrassing questions. That is the role of opposition leaders or opposition parties. And the point I wanted to raise earlier is that so we are likely to see a lively, robust, and also fascinating engagement taking place in the National Assembly. Now that we know that you have these other political parties that have decided at this stage not to be part of the government of national unity. And this is what we need to appreciate and also look up to at the end of the day.
Any chance at all that the EFF could form a coalition with the MK party?
Yes, so definitely they will. Already last week they did indicate that we are part of the Progressive Caucus as this collective of political parties represented in the National Assembly, we are pledging that we'll assume our oversight and accountability role over the National Executive, hold them accountable, and also ensure that there is decisive action that is taken against any of those who be part of the National Executive who operate within who operate outside the confines of the Constitution. Already they've indicated that, yeah.
Okay, I want to read something from this press release by obviously the ANC or the GNU. They're saying here that any further parties wishing to join the GNU will be subject to clause 24 of the statement of intent. What is that all about? Do you have any idea?
Oh, yeah. So clause 24 is that conflict resolution mechanism. And also the other contentious issues around which parties have sort of authority in deciding or determining those who are supposed to be part of the GNU. But also with the GNU cooperation agreement, there are different clauses already. One on conflict resolution in the event there's a conflict taking place within the GNU setup, what mechanisms they will resort to, and also the concept of sufficient consensus that actions that will be taken by the GNU coalition partners will be based on sufficient consensus, which is the 60%.
Which means technically that if any other party decides now to join the GNU, it will have to be voted on. It's not, they won't automatically be able to join the GNU. So depending
Yeah.
what the other parties decide whether they want the addition to the GNU or not, it will be voted upon. So the guys that haven't acted timelessly are going to lose out if they decide this late in the day that we want to be part of the GNU.
Yes, definitely. More so because now the president will have to announce his cabinet sometime this week. And beyond, they'll have to now discuss the composition of those who will be the chairpersons of portfolio committees in Parliament. Remember, that is another process that will be unfolding sometime next week. Who will be nominated to serve as chairpersons of the various portfolio committees in Parliament? There will also be a power sharing around it. The DA will have a certain number, the ANC, the IFP, the Patriotic Alliance, and the other parties that are now part of the GNU. They'll have to agree on that.
I want to bring up the issue around Naledi Pandor. I truly believe she is a loss. We've heard that she's going to retire. She's made that pretty public. But I think she served the country very, very well. And my personal feeling is that it would be a loss to us as South Africa for her to step down from the political arena. Your thoughts? Do you believe that at this late stage that the president could perhaps coax her into becoming a minister in the office of the president without a portfolio, for example, because she comes with years and years. I mean, she was an activist and she has so much of experience in politics that I think she would be a loss if she is not embraced in the current system.
You're right, Julie. So my sense is that the president may also try to persuade her to reconsider her position to retire from, of course, national politics, with a view, of course, to ensure that there is continuity in that portfolio of international relations and cooperation. We know the influential international role she has assumed in dealing with issues of conflict in the continent and also outside the continent. The president can still exercise his discretion provided for in the Constitution by appointing her as one of the ministers. Of course, the president is limited to two ministerial appointments he can make on two ministers who are not members of parliament or who are not part of parliament at this stage. So we'll see how that process also unfolds. But yeah, you're quite right. But also she can still be deployed in other capacities, like becoming an ambassador, leading a role in that space, and also other platforms.
Well, we look forward to that. Your personal sense of these 10 parties that have made up the GNU going forward, and are you hopeful that I know Cyril Ramaphosa used the slogan "A New Dawn" in his previous tenure as president, the previous, the 5 years gone by. Is this now perhaps, hopefully, a new dawn for South Africa?
Yes, it's a significant turning point in our political landscape. The beauty about this one is that these parties have committed themselves in writing. Okay, that this is the cooperation agreement, this is the coalition agreement. Collectively, we intend to commit to ensure that we collectively pursue the ideals, which some are already provided in our constitution, and also looking at these other mechanisms that in the event there's a deadlock, impasse, what needs to happen as parties that have committed ourselves to the signing up of the statement of intent and the constituting of the government of national unity. So it bodes well for our country, but the jury is still out whether this GNU will operate effectively and also optimally for the next 5 years.
Well, we look forward to that. I think all our eyes are focused on what happens next, and undoubtedly, we will be having many more conversations with you as the days go by, unpacking politics and how it impacts on you and I as ordinary citizens. Professor Sam Khoma, as always, a pleasure talking to you regarding analysis on the political situation in South Africa and beyond. Thank you indeed. God bless and go well.
Pleasure.
8:39 News and Views moving along. Our next guest is a local guest, of course, and that, of course, is Camry Jacobs, member of the Yes Movement of Westbury. Sadly, we are unable to connect up with someone in Palestine regarding that horrific story whereby Israeli forces has used a Palestinian man as a human shield by strapping him to the front of a Jeep. But who knows, we might still be able to cover that story in the second hour of the show. We're going for a short break, and when we get back, another horrific story, and that, of course, is the local story in the colored communities here in Gauteng area, where there was a social media message that went out and had everybody really worried about what's going to play out over the weekend and possibly even this coming week in the areas of Westbury, Elders, Rivoli, etc. Camry Jacobs is going to unfold or unpack that story for us. Please become a part